Art, as we look back over the years, we've been airing Retiring Well now. This is our 14th season, and we always talk about how hindsight's 2020. A lot of times people, when talking to financial advisors, they think of, well, the stock market and everything, and that's what you're referring to. But I think one of the areas as we're talking about this is one of those types of accounts that we probably haven't spent enough time talking about are health savings accounts, or HSAs, as you probably have heard. And so it's one of those types of tools that can be pretty valuable, and especially in today's environment, where health insurance costs continue to rise and people are concerned. I know a number of folks that we talk to are ultimately delaying their retirement because of health insurance. And so want to dive into a little bit of the details and maybe we'll call it sort of this triple tax advantage of health savings accounts. So if you want to start talking through some ideas there.
Boy, John, you're not kidding at all. I mean, one of those areas that doesn't get talked about, and I think is wildly misunderstood as well when it comes to this. You know, folks love to talk about healthcare when they get their monthly premium in the mail or when it's time to make a change and they start to see the costs start to ramp up. Again, planning for healthcare is something that has to start happening way before retirement. If you're somebody that's retiring early, if you're somebody retiring on Medicare, there's so many different options, but we can have so much more flexibility for doing this ahead of time. An HSA, or health savings account, here is one of those things that can be used to help maneuver in retirement and help take some of that pressure off, and has a lot of perks to it along the way as well. You know, John, you talked about the triple tax savings. It's the only account out there that exists in that manner. You know, those contributions that you have going in, again, depending upon your situations, there's different limits and different amounts and all this sort of stuff, but oftentimes those can be tax deductible. Again, individual limits, family limits, income, all that sort of stuff, depending upon where it's at. And you also have to have an HSA qualifiable health insurance plan. So that's a key thing to talk about as well. So these aren't for everybody, but if looking into your individual situation, it's something that you could do. So starting off, contributions could be beneficial to you from a tax perspective day one.
Perfect. And so then shifting gears now, the actual growth of that account and how does that work? Well, advantage here is that it's tax-free growth. So again, you got a tax deduction for the money going in was point number one. Point number two is then it's tax-free growth while you have the money invested into the HSA. And so there's a lot of different providers out there that'll offer health savings accounts, but you actually do have the ability to invest that money if you want, again, within this health savings account, where you could try and get some actual returns on that money. It doesn't have to sit just in like a savings type of low interest environment. Again, may not be advisable for everyone, but if there's sufficient funds in there that you don't plan on touching for a long time, such as like simply like a retirement account in a way, then maybe you could utilize this health savings account to try and take advantage of some of those growth opportunities.
Absolutely. And so now let's talk about the last piece of it, is getting the money out, spending it, right? You know, it's great if we can put it in, we get growth, all this sort of stuff, but how do we use it? Well, generally speaking, you're going to want to use it for qualifiable medical expenses. So co-pays, deductibles, medications, stuff like that. There's a long laundry list of things that qualify for this. And as long as you're using it for those things, you're not going to have any tax consequences to you as you're spending this money, not only your contributions, but any growth along the way as you're spending that money. Again, so as John talked about, you know, you have the opportunity to grow this thing. So I want to suggest something that potentially is a little different than what a lot of people that do have these think about. Is a lot of people put money in and then they use it throughout the year to pay for their expenses. I challenge you to not use it. If you have the cash flow, to use it elsewhere and let this account grow. Let that tax-free growth truly work for you. And then you can use this much later in life to help offset some of those rising healthcare costs.
Yeah, so true. So again, those three items, the tax-deductible contributions, the tax-free growth, and then the tax-free distributions can be so vital when you're looking at a health savings account. And here at Centennial Wealth Advisory, we've got team members that help with on the investment side, they help with the insurance side, so they're licensed insurance professionals. So it's something that if you have questions about this and would like the opportunity to sit down, we encourage you to give us a call for no cost, no obligation. Visit and help you plan to retire well.